So let's help these guys build something here. I spent $300 to come to this event. I'm a college student. I'm here to see Garyvee. I leave here highly motivated, and then I come down to earth and I'm like, how am I supposed to make my first $100,000 from here? Do you have any ideas of like easy startup, low cost things that people can start?
Nope. And I'll tell you why. Because the second you allow the word easy to come into your head in building something, it's game over, right? I see all these kids and they're like, Gary, this is so hard. I'm like, do you understand that you're asking for a 1% life in being an entrepreneur that stands on her or his own feet? It is $630,000 or so right now of earnings in America, the richest country in the world. $630,000 a year in annual income that puts you in the 1% of the richest country in the world. And we've got kids walking around that if they make $1 million, they think they're a loser. Everything's out of whack, my guy. Do I think there's anything easy about standing on your own 2 feet and paying for everything and having all that pressure on your chest in perpetuity? No, I do not. Do I think there are many unlimited opportunities? Yes, I do. Do I think they require a level of patience? Notice how I jumped in with the Jets thing. The second you want something fast is the second I'll show you something that's vulnerable. A relationship, a business, a platform. Speed is the enemy to so many right now. People hear me pitching patience on my social constantly and they get all mad because they interpret it as complacency. There's a reason there's 2 different words in the English language. One is patience and one is complacency. They are not the same. I took this hat on, I put this hat on to give some love, but backstage, there we go. Backstage, I had a hat. Backstage, I had a hat that I was wearing today, and it says ambitious. I'm 48 years old, I've accomplished a lot of things professionally and personally. I'm hungry as hell right now. The fire I have in my stomach, it's crazy. It comes from coming from the dirt. For those that you don't know, I was born in the USSR. I was literally born in the most opposite place of my DNA. I'm a purebred entrepreneur. I had no tolerance for school in the 80s when it was requirement. I was an immigrant, every Russian immigrant that came over from the Soviet Union and all my Indian immigrant friends and Asian immigrant friends and Caribbean, it was all education, all the time. And I was getting D's and F's. Do you know how hard it is to get D's and F's in school? I've come to learn it's really hard. Like even people that do nothing get C's, I got D's and F's. But that was because I was 100% pot committed to who I was. When I was in class as a 10-year-old, I couldn't listen to Saturn and Neptune because that wasn't me. I had self-awareness as a child, luck of the draw DNA, remarkable parenting. I just was there, and that is my answer to the question you just had. How do I think the people in this room leave here and get their first 100,000? The only answer is self-awareness. Let me explain what I mean by that. Too many people want to be like. Too many people just saw that Skittles pitting and see this man swag and they want to be him. I get it. I want to be him. He's cool as shit. But if you were not born with that talent and you were not putting in that 10,000 hours to put in that talent, it's unlikely that you are going to be a remarkably successful commercial artist within 12 months. It doesn't work that way. This is why I love sports so much. Sports, you can't hide. You can hide in education. You can hide in government. You can hide in corporations. There are 2 places that are very hard to hide. Sports is impossible because we watch the game and there's an outcome. And the next closest thing is business and entrepreneurship. You can fake it a little bit. You can sell your company underwater and say you exited, but really you didn't. You know, you can play, but merit matters. And the way that so many people here, my friend, will get there is that they know who they are. The number 7 at Facebook made a lot more money than the number 1 of most businesses ever created. And that number 7 had the self-awareness to say they're not a number 1. Sometimes you have entrepreneurial tendencies. You're not a purebred entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is lonely. Yeah. Entrepreneurship is hard.
How do you stay motivated in the journey when people don't believe in their vision?
Pretty damn easy. If you're an athlete on the field, how the hell are you listening to people in the stands eating popcorn booing you? I have no tolerance for friends and family members who have opinions from the sidelines. I appreciate it. Often it's well-intended, but they're not playing. What does their opinion of my ability to make a little tool for hair or an agency or sell it? It's irrelevant.
You know, I'm gonna point out a superstar here who's an alumni of Palm Beach State, and we had dinner the other day, and that's exactly what he said, and it really resonated with me. Alexio, stand up. My Shark Tank brother.
It's completely irrational. Why on earth would you factor in people's hot takes on your journey? You should listen. You never want to be delusional, right? But the concept of how you deal, you have no choice. The number one reason so many people struggle with happiness in life is they put someone else's opinion over their own feelings. It's very real, bro. It's like, and this goes way deeper than entrepreneurship. Like, listen, I'm the byproduct of parents that are very polar opposites. And I got to see it up close and personal. And I was fortunate enough to know my dad's mom, who was incredibly cynical and negative. And very honestly, when I tell this group, most people do not understand what the USSR was from 1917 to 1991. It was not like China or Iran is now. It was like North Korea. You were not allowed to even leave the country. It was jail. People died in their 50s. You know why Russians drink vodka? They wanted to die. It was an incredibly negative place. And so I have no judgment on my family tree. It was very hard. But I also had a mother who lost her mother at 5. Her father went to jail when she was 10 for 10 years on some dumb shit, what they did in the Soviet Union. And she is the most optimistic, happy person on earth and instilled that in me. In life and in entrepreneurship and in corporate and in nonprofit and in education, in the world, you find what you're looking for. If you decide to sit here today and be cynical and pessimistic about the world and everything that's going on, I have good news, you can find it. However, here's the part that I don't think people believe. If you are optimistic and hopeful and seek joy, you can find unlimited. People have a very, very, very poor understanding of the world and history. People tell me all the time, obviously we all know what's going on, there's so much going on, right? I'm in many dinner tables like all of you are, and they're like, it's never been worse. I'm like, you sure about that? And so we are incredibly delusional about that, and so I choose optimism because I believe it. If we were sitting in this room the week after the atomic bomb was invented, in the late 40s, early 50s, and sitting around, and then you told me 7, 10 other countries would have it pretty quickly, I would have never sat there and thought 80 years later it would have never been used. That would have seemed completely illogical. I believe it's an indication of the human spirit. Of course we have conflict, of course there's things. And the world is very good about trying to make us not like each other, my man. Yeah. As if we didn't get into a place in the world, as if it wasn't enough that we struggle with each other around race and gender and religion, now they're trying to pump negativity between generations. They're trying to teach Gen Z to hate the boomers. I love when they're like, you guys fucked up the world. I'm like, do you know anything about the boomers' grandparents?
Well, let's do it.
I want to stay on this, if I may. If I may, because this is very important. Please, my friends, from the oldest to the youngest in this room, please don't let them teach you to hate each other. Please. There's no reason. And so, yeah, I mean, back to entrepreneurship, to bring it down a level, if you lack optimism, you have no shot. And entrepreneurship is half delusional, half optimism, and someone who, entrepreneurship is losing constantly with an occasional win. And I think the biggest reason that we will struggle with entrepreneurship in the next generation is back to grit. We have demonized losing. The reason I stick on 8th place trophies is we are teaching kids that losing is bad. You show me a 6-year-old that loses this weekend, in a baseball game and starts crying, and I'll show you a winner. And every parent that goes up to that kid and says it doesn't matter, it's just a game, should be punched in the face. And I know a lot of people get mad at me because they're like, no, I gotta enjoy life. And I'm about that life. Like, last night I bought like 7 custom New York Jets jerseys of very weird players that most people don't even know are on the team, and spent $900 on something no human should spend $900 on. But like, I can afford that, and like, within pocket, so I understand buying things. My big thing, especially for the kids that get fast money, I just think a lot of people buy dumb shit to impress people. Right? They want to get the girl, they want to show their mom that said they would never make it. Like, we buy things to show everybody else that we made it. I get that. I don't judge that. I just ask people to understand the reason most people buy very expensive things is to impress people they don't even like. And so when you're 23 and 27 and 29, it's even more common. I'm just saying, in a world that shows you unlimited people on pre-roll YouTube and social media flexing Rolexes and Lambos and yachts and private planes, I promise you, it's not as delicious as you think. It's fun, it's fine, and honestly, go get that, but don't spend it early, because a lot of you spend it and don't ever make that kind of money again. And then it really sucks. You know what really sucks, my man? You know what doesn't suck? Never flying private. You know what really sucks? Flying private in your 20s and flying commercial coach in your 40s. Most people freeze on video because they're self-conscious of how they look, right? Or they struggle. Already they understand that this is gonna be on the internet, and a lot of people struggle with negative comments. Both are the same game. It's that you're valuing a stranger's opinion and their own pain that they're deploying on you over your own growth, happiness, and accomplishments. It is sad that so many people stay stuck in high school. A lot of you don't post because Johnny Pants 49 said you're ugly. Literally. I just want to remind you 2 things. One, when people talk shit to you in your comments, you shouldn't feel bad for yourself. You need to feel compassion and empathy for them. I don't know how many of you are living unhappy lives and do this, but I genuinely believe what I'm about to say. One of the worst existence currently in our world is a human being that spends their evenings or downtime going around to other people's profiles and saying negative things to drag them down because they're hurting so much inside. That is a very, I genuinely don't get mad when people are like, fuck you, Gary, you suck. It really genuinely, I genuinely, deeply have empathy, and I'm like, I hope they get to a better place, because could you imagine living that life? That's just misery loves company at scale 24/7, and it's a bad place to be. So first, for anyone who's not posting, you know, because they're not even thinking about the video, they already went to the second move that it's gonna be posted, which is why they already weren't as their natural self that they could be on stage. I would just tell you to not worry about that, because it's not, when you're 92, you really don't give a fuck about all this dumb shit. You know, and then the other thing is practice. Real talk. Some people, like, it takes you a minute. Like, nobody rides their bike the best time in their life the first time. Nobody's the best they've ever been at tennis the first time they pick up a racket. Nobody's the best at making out the first time they make out. It's a fucking disaster. Don't even let me get into sex. People are a real fucking disaster that time. Some real embarrassing shit going on in the world the first time that happens. Same with video. First time you do it, a lot of people, 20, 30, 90 reps. I'm surprised that people don't understand that hard work is one of the most important punchlines in the world. It's been so, by the way, I've been so pumped that everybody's trying to demonize hustle and hard work. I'm so hyped on this that they're trying to cancel it. I'm like, yes, more. Tell every kid that they don't have to do shit, because then I'm gonna kill all those young fuckers. Hard work. Like, who the fuck ever accomplished anything without the reps? Who the fuck ever accomplished anything without the reps? You don't want to come into the office? Good, more for me. You don't want to grind? Good, more for me. And by the way, no judgment on them either. Work-life balance comes in all shapes and sizes. Money, let me end with this. This is perfect. Because of all of that gangster competitive shit, let me go a completely different way. I was born in the Soviet Union. I came to America, I lived in a studio apartment with 7 family members. I lived in a studio apartment in Queens with 7 family members. My parents didn't buy me shit. I didn't even see my dad the first 14 years of my life. He worked in a liquor store trying to build the American dream. My mom was not only poor, she's cheap as fuck.
Sounds like my family.
I know what that world looks like. I've also worked my face off my whole life to get to a place where I now get to run in circles with people that make money that makes no sense to me. Let me just promise for all of y'all who haven't seen either side of the extreme, money solves little. It's got optionality to it, there's plenty of good with it, but it does not solve your pain. You can't buy your way out of insecurity.
What's the best advice that you will give your younger self?
My younger self?
Yeah.
Mine's very, very specific. I'll give it to you, but mine was very weird, and I'll say this because I think there's probably a dozen people that really need this advice too. My younger self, my man, I had a lot of wisdom. The shit I'm spitting now, I wish you knew my 16-year-old friends. They'd be like, he was on this shit then. Like, I got lucky. I don't know how else to say. I don't like using that word because I think losers weaponize luck on hardworking people. But I'll use luck in this instance. I got lucky with DNA and my mom, right? It was in me, and then I had the best mom of all time that fucking, I had the seeds, but she watered that shit. She did it proper. So I came out, by the time I was 18, I was ready to kill everyone. Because I didn't give a shit about what any of you fucking thought. I loved myself, and I had skills. I put in the work my whole life, and I was like, fuck it, let's kill everyone. But I had a real flaw on some kryptonite shit. My biggest issue, what I would have told my younger self, is that you're gonna get fucked up with not having candor to people you like. And it's crazy. Me on stage, me and my content, me and my books, everything I've been doing for the last 45 minutes, I shoot it heavy straight, pure candor. But if I love you and you're my boy, or you're my cousin, or you work with me for 5 years like Dustin, and I convert to not knowing you, I love you, but I don't know you. But as every day goes by that I know you, and I take strangers to acquaintances, and I take acquaintances to friends, and I take friends to family. It's how I'm wired. And the more I care about you, the harder it is for me to tell you the truth. And because I've always been managing people since I was like 20, I really struggled. Every single thing that has not gone well for me with people, in personal relationships and by being a boss, every one of them, every one of them, is because I didn't have the strength to tell them how I actually felt, because I was scared that they would get scared if I told them they weren't doing a good job. And it took me a long time. I'm 48. It took me probably into 5 years ago. And bro, on some real shit, being vulnerable, I'm probably a 5 out of 10 on it now. But going from a 1 to a 5 has completely transformed my personal and professional life. And so for everyone here who has a tough time saying to someone they love, or relatives that work for them, or things of that nature, there is a I call it kind candor. There is a kind way, and I promise you, nobody tried harder to get around it. I did some flip shit. I was doing all sorts of shit, but you will regret it. It will not work. You have to find a way to deliver candor if it's your truth, because both people will lose. You will have resentment, and they will be angry at you for being full of shit, and it will not work. And that's what I would have told myself. I would say virtual is hybrid now. How many people had a Google Hangout or Zoom meeting this last week? Raise your hands. So that's happening. At the same token, how many people are physically actually in this room right now with me? So we're hybrid right now. Do I think in 20, 30, 40 years that will be more percentage virtual? I do. I don't think it's gonna be these goggles. I think it's gonna be contact lenses, and it's gonna be AR, VR, or something even more, less friction. I don't know, that's not what I do for a living. I act when those things are invented and understand what people do. But it's very clear to me that people are very bad at history. When people are like, no, we're never gonna do that. I'm like, do you understand that if I dug up a caveman and walked him into this room right now, he'd be like, what the fuck? And you know, like I was a very bad student, but I was good at history. Do you understand that like 120 years ago, which is like nothing was invented that we live in? You know, it took like weeks to get to Europe because you were on a fucking boat. You like that one? like I don't understand that people don't understand that like this isn't it. Like, let me give you the preview, kids. This shit right here is gonna look like a beeper from the 90s in 20 years. That's how it works. So, do I think virtual is now? Sure, hybrid. Do I think virtual will continue to grow? Of course. Do I think for the people that clapped and you guys want to win, that you got to get your timing right so you don't get ahead of your skis? Because when people do future stuff, they get caught. They get caught, they're like, next year, and it takes 9 years. When I was doing Twitter and Facebook in 2006, I was like, by 2010, people are gonna really understand social media. It's 2024, and I just spent 40 minutes begging you to fucking pay attention. You know, I think for a lot of the OGs in this room, I think that the world has gotten too fast in some areas, and I think people lack patience. I think that a lot of people get caught up that have tremendous skills by wanting it too fast and wanting it to prove to others versus enjoying the process for themselves. That was incredibly beautiful, and thank you. But when I think about the goal I set for myself in 4th grade about buying my beloved New York Jets, you know, obviously many things have gone well for me professionally, but you know, I still have a lot of work to do to amass the wealth to put myself in that position. And to be frank, that is the part that I'm most enjoying. I actually made a video about a decade ago when I really had a moment with myself where I was like, oh man, I might pull this off. You know, if the way this is going, if I do another 20 years of good decision making and putting the right deposits down, I might be able to get into striking distance of this outrageous goal I set for myself. So I made a video. And I made a video that said, I literally, it was almost like a video like from the 1980s hostage videos. I literally held up a newspaper and be like, today is this date. And I said, I'm making this video because in 30 years, if I pull off this great dream, I want everybody who's watching this video to know that today is not my greatest day. Today is potentially my least greatest day as a professional, because what my great love affair has been professionally is chasing the efforts and the strategies and the connections and the decisions to get me here, not to get here. I think our society has fallen in love with trophies, and I'm in love with the game. Grit is teachable.
Really?
Yeah, because it's circumstantial. You can't have grit if mommy and daddy give you money. You know what? But you know what makes me laugh inside about that moment? The people that just laughed and clapped are mommy and daddy. And mommy and daddy come up to me on DM, in my messages, on email, at the airport all the time and say, Gary, I need your help, because they know how much, you know, I'm in a very fortunate spot in my career where 15 to 25 is a demo that I have juice with, and we relationship, and there's an authenticity there. And they say, Gary, I'm struggling, I need grit for my kid, did this, that. And I'm like, stop giving them money. The people that just laughed and clapped are still putting them on the payroll. You don't, like, this is the jungle. And right now, parenting and modern parenting is creating zoo animals. We over-coddle. We've eliminated merit. Our society, well-intended, decided to invent crazy stuff like 8th place trophies. And so We've lost our way out of good intent. This is called a prosperous empire. I was a very poor student, but there was one class I was good at, history, and I never understood why until I got into my early 40s. I'm obsessed with pattern recognition. I know things don't change. I know humans definitely don't change. Circumstances changes, platforms changes, mediums change. We are the Roman Empire. When you started this and you said, can you believe this, the America? Listen, America's got its things, what doesn't? But I promise you, nobody's leaving. So this is a remarkable place, but we must also acknowledge we've had a level of prosperity for so long that we're soft. People are complaining about going to an office 5 days a week as if we're like hanging them from trees. It's insanity. By the way, I want everybody to hear this. I'm not proposing that we need to be in the office 5 days a week. I believe in technology, I believe in Zoom, I believe in efficiency. That's not what I'm proposing. I'm asking this room, are we paying attention to what people complain about? As we sit here right now, there are 850 million people around this world, over 10% of our society, that does not have access to clean water. I sit on the board of Charity Water. There are 850 million people, as we sit here right now, that cannot get to clean water within 12 hours. And we're complaining that we got the wrong milk at the Starbucks. We've gotten so soft. Yeah. And so how do you get to grit? You either live it. It's similar to, but it can be taught. I have watched trust fund kids get caught up financially, and over a 2 to 3 year period, first go through a year of detox. If you're paying for your kids' Uber or Equinox membership or their apartment, or like you take that away, that's detox. That's a drug. But after that year, things start to change. Yeah. And right now, too many parents and kids have double resentment relationships. Because let me tell you a dirty secret, parents that are putting kids on payroll. I'm getting the DMs also from the 25-year-olds, and here's the insight that is not being talked about in public. A 25-year-old that has their parents paying for their lifestyle is subconsciously and now starting to consciously understand that their parent doesn't think they're capable of. You think you're helping, but you're creating levels of insecurity. And so these are complicated matters. I don't sit up here on a pedestal. I have 2 children, I get it. When you love something more than breathing and yourself, of course you're gonna do. But there's a reason that we talk about grit. It's because it's going away, because it's really frothy out there. People have lost so many things. Again, over 45-year-olds, remember the concept of saving money? People don't even talk about that anymore. People are more interested in buying things to flex, to put Band-Aids on their insecurities. And so they're buying BMWs and Louis Vuitton. Dumb shit. To me, education is the single most important thing in the world, period. The packaging and selling of education, I think, needs to be thought about because it always ebbs and flows. The world changes. This morning I gave a speech at a very significant marketing conference that had all the Fortune 500 CMOs down in Miami. And what I said to the room was, this industry of ours, the Fortune 500 Madison Avenue agency world, we're romantic about yesterday, the Mad Men era, and we're infatuated with tomorrow, the metaverse and AI, and we stink at today. And I feel very similar about education. You know, if I was the dean and had that kind of blessing, I would reverse engineer the practicality of the reality of the world. I would focus on the things that are clearly, you know how bright this room is? There's very few people here who couldn't right now list 5 to 7 clear opportunities of the next decade that would really benefit our children in learning. I literally hire kids out of college. I have a 2,000 person global agency, and I look at the curriculum that colleges are teaching for marketing at the highest levels. And there's literally kids, as we sit here right now, being taught how to write a press release in marketing class. Do you know how insane that is? So, you know, I would create a curriculum that would focus on things like prompt engineering, because that is gonna be the skill set that will make people know how to use AI properly for an outcome. If it was entrepreneurship, we'd maybe never be in the classroom because nothing is happening in there in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is like working out. You can't read about push-ups. You have to do them. And to be an entrepreneur, you have to do. And I see all sorts of kids, but I'm 48. So I came up when entrepreneurship wasn't even a thing. When I was in my 20s, forget about a child. In my 20s, I'm like, I want to be a businessman. That was the word for entrepreneurship. If I even heard entrepreneurship, and again, some of the lovely faces out there that are over 45, you remember this. If entrepreneurship was thrown around 25 years ago, that was code for loser. Right? And then it flipped heavy in the last 15 years to the point where, like, when I see that sizzle reel, I'm like, that's the stuff I grew up with that would look for like an athlete or a rapper. Like, it's cool now, which is amazing because it's my great passion. It is my great joy. But I also believe that it confused a lot of people. There's a lot of people who now want to be entrepreneurs. I want to be the quarterback of the New York Jets. It's not happening. And I think my concern is that a lot of people go into entrepreneurship thinking it's a thing. It is a skill set. And if I was to teach entrepreneurship in this incredible institution, we may never be in the classroom. We'd have to go do entrepreneurial things. Including, first and foremost, just like you have that swag, if you can't sell, you might as well get some other gig. And so there's a lot to it, but you don't learn about selling by reading one of my books. You have to go out and sell. One of the great things that I believe, I couldn't, I'm sure a lot of people here have children, grandchildren, or even people in 20s, 30s, 40s who are looking to mix it up. One of the great opportunities for everyone, if they truly care about entrepreneurship, is to work retail. Interacting with human beings and understanding how they roll is the only way you're gonna figure this out. And I think retail, restaurant, hospitality, true interaction at scale with humans of all different shapes and sizes and income levels and interests, and having that ability to reverse engineer and counterpunch every situation, that's a skill set that you have to refine. I learned that on Tingley Lane in Edison, New Jersey, selling lemonade. I learned that at the Phillipsburg Mall in New Jersey selling baseball cards. I learned that at my daddy's liquor store in Springfield, New Jersey. Like those Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours, by the time I was 22, I was in the game.
But how has social media, YouTube, LinkedIn changed your life and changed the way that you're able to operate as a business person?
I think for everybody in this room, depending on, you get to the place where, you look at Arlen, she builds her personal brand, but then she also has many businesses. So for everybody in the audience, whether it's you as a human or the business that you're running, at the end of the day, branding is the only thing. How has social media changed my life? The same way television changed Johnny Carson and Oprah and Jimmy Fallon's life. Attention is the asset.
I just had like a thing, that's how your show starts?
Yeah, it's like for everyone here, like you can't sell anything. And when I say sell anything, I mean even yourself or something noble like raising money for a nonprofit or something entrepreneurial like selling your necklace or your sneakers. You can't sell anything unless you have the attention. If you're talking to yourself, nothing's gonna happen. So attention has always been the asset. Do you know why the world is a very religious world? Because the religious institutions in the world were the ones that moved first when we had the printing press, and they dominated all the books around the world, and that we still feel the impacts of that today. Whether it's television, whether it's radio, whether it's print, and now it is the internet and social media on top of the internet. That's where a stunning percentage of attention sits today. And so it's changed my life completely. I was 34 years old before I made one video about business. I didn't grow up thinking I was gonna be known. Back to the earlier question, probably one of the biggest reasons I try to over-deliver every time when somebody rolls up on me is, this is insanity to me. I wanted to just be a businessman. The idea of people wanting photos and autographs, when you grow up wanting to be a singer or an athlete, in the back of your mind, that might be part of your life. If you're gonna be an actress or a comedian. When you're growing up in the 80s, like I was, and you wanna be a businessman, entrepreneurs weren't cool. Honestly, I just wanted my teachers to stop telling me that I was gonna be a loser because I was getting such bad grades, because I knew that once I got into business, I'd be okay. And so, how's it changed my life? Completely. But it's changed all of our lives in here, because no matter what, the biggest thing that social media and the internet did was decentralized attention. So back in the day, I would have had to been chosen by somebody to be on TV. I would have had to been chosen by somebody to be on the radio or to write for a newspaper. The fact that none of us in this room have to be chosen by anybody. And today, in the TikTokification of all social media, and what I mean by that is, if you've never posted anything on social media, you have no followers, and your first post on TikTok or on Instagram or on any platform now, because they're all going this way, is quote unquote good, meaning consumers liked it, you could get 1 million views on your first video. For the first 15 years of social media, the one I grew up in, you had to build an audience, get followers, and then post, and a percentage of them would see it. It was more like email marketing. Now, creative finds its audience. That's insane. It's a very nerdy branding term, but I'm gonna use it, and you can dissect it for yourselves, or we can keep talking about it. But for the first time in the history of marketing, the creative, the picture, the video, the creative creates the reach. The way media has worked for 100 years was you made a picture or video, and then you paid the newspaper or the television or the yellow pages or the billboard company money to get it seen. Now, you make content on social media, and for free, it can be seen. And everyone likes to shit on social media, and when they don't get enough likes, they're like, I'm shadow banned, and they're talking all this shit. It's fucking free. We've become so entitled that we complain about free shit. And to really get real with you, if your content's not working, it means that you're not interesting.
Or you haven't found
Yet. That's right, yet.
What is something right now that you know is true that people are not understanding that this room can walk away with and say, I'm ahead of the trend?
Two things are on my mind on things that have the potential to be big. One is social shopping in live format. Live shopping is a humongous opportunity. QVC on social networks, not super complicated. For anybody who's paying attention globally, this has been massive in China for a long time. Right now, it's predominantly the most fruitful place is happening on TikTok. But if you're into collectibles, there's an app called Whatnot, there's an app called Fanatics Live, and there's real shopping, like people spending real money. So I think within the next half decade, live stream shopping, a lot of influencers or people that are building influencer companies or building their influence will start monetizing more, not just on brand deals, but on affiliate or creating things and selling them in the format of going live for hours upon a day on social. So I'm very bullish on live shopping, and it hasn't popped off on the Western world the way a lot of people thought. But I think we're in the pre-dawn, I think we're getting close. So live shopping is something people should be paying attention to.
Live thing, and there's like a button you can push.
You set up, if you Google it everywhere, you can set up a TikTok shop. There's SKUs. For some people, you could just be a pure affiliate and you're just pumping things that are sold by others. For others, you make stuff and you sell it. So
entrepreneurs in the building.
And a lot of apparel and beauty. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in live shopping. The second one's completely more left field, but will happen, and I will clip this in 10 years and be like, I fucking told you. The rise of virtual influencers. So I believe what influencers have done to famous people in the last decade, over the next decade, virtual influencers are gonna do to influencers. An AI-generated human being that sells shit and isn't an actual human being. And so I think one of the biggest businesses to build in the world is an AI influencer agency where you own the humans, because they're AI, they're Mickey Mouse, they're Betty Boop, they're Kermit the Frog, they're IP, but it fully looks like a human being. I believe the technology will get so advanced in the next 5 years with this that nobody here with their eye will be able to discern if it's a human or AI. I know a lot of you have seen some of them already in your Instagram, but right now you can kind of still tell it's a little too rounded out that it's not a human. I think within the next 5 years, you will have no clue. And I think that for a lot of people that own CPGs, when I think about Yacht Water, I love the name, by the way, very bougie. That's what I was thinking. I think for a lot of people, you look at a brand like this, it's very clear that micro influencers at scale would be a huge win. But when you go do a deal with an influencer, there's not a lot of control you have. You might be I'm looking for a woman that looks like this, or acts like this, or is this age, or this gender, or this race, or this style. You're gonna create her. And
But weird science.
yeah, I mean, look, I know it.
I hate it.
Oh, I know. And look, the AI implications are profound. It's one of the biggest technology inventions. It's been around for a long time, but it's tipping point now. And so it's gonna be a big deal for everyone. But I really do think that AI influencers, what are we in 2024? In 2034 is a major industry, and every company has some on their roster, and some are agents and talent agents like CAA and UTA, and you'll have 2 or 3 faces for the brand. And I think the people that really build up these influencers, imagine you owned Kim Kardashian or Jamie Foxx.
It's scary to a lot of people to see that.
Well, cars were scary to people. Like we used to just have horses, and like the internet was scary, and the iPhone is scary, and the gun, I promise you, as scared as you are about AI, when people found out there's a new thing called the gun, people are like, fuck man, I just figured out how to use a sword. Technology doesn't give a shit about our fears. Technology is gonna do technology, right? And so things move fast. Like I don't think people understand how most of the inventions that run our society are only 100 years old. You go back 100 years from now, there's no television. Let me just say it's simple, 100. Every kid born today is gonna live well past 100 years old, thank God, with modern technology. 100 years ago, there's no television, let alone a phone. I think that we're just starting. People demonize technology. The iPhone and social media is gonna look like a beeper in 25 years. And so people need to get ready because it's gonna be. And so you can cry about it or you can be about it. There's 2 things that I would tell all of you to really give a lot of thought about. And they're 2 very opposite things, meaning they may seem opposite, but they're the 2 leverage points. One is very not technology and it's very old school, and one's very technology and new school. The first one is, this whole thing's about human beings. Let me tell you the single biggest mistake every one of you will do at this conference. Not say hello to enough people in this room. If I can leave you with anything from this, when I walk off right now, do not leave this conference. And I don't care how introverted you are and shy, I get it, but this is a community of like-minded people. If you don't feel safe saying hello, my name is Joanne, here, where are you gonna do it? And I promise you, the biggest breakthroughs and the most happiness in your life and the most upside financially in your career is in a random hello in a conference like this. So please do that. The biggest ROI of this conference is not the content on this stage. It is you with each other. And every time, they say closed mouths don't get fed. Every second from now that it's on your mind, from now to the end of this, that you don't say hello to somebody you don't know is just a missed opportunity. The whole game is human. As you grow your businesses from 0 to $1 million, $1 million to 10, 100% of the upside is who you surround yourself with. Having the courage to fire someone when you know that it's not right. That's hard, you're a human. But the people around you is the whole game. And then number 2, what we just touched on, it's the tech part. Much like not saying hello to somebody is a missed opportunity, if you are not posting content on social networks during this era, you will regret that you didn't do it when it won't be available anymore. We will wake up and there will be a new paradigm shift. Today, this is the remote control of our society. Very soon, this is going to be. And when this changes and we go into VR, whether it's 7 or 12 or 19 years from now, all these ridiculous opportunities we have right now on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube Shorts, it will go away. It will go away. And you will have taken for granted the free branding that we just talked about. And I get it. Like, people don't want the negative comments. Some people, listen, self-esteem and confidence is the whole framework of life. I'm aware that some people here don't feel good to be on video. I get it. I'm very empathetic to it. But I just want to leave you with this on this one. Anyone that comes over to your page and makes fun of what you said or how you look, don't feel bad for you, feel bad for them. Do you know what kind of a sad life it is? Do you know how much compassion I have for people that go around the internet and spew hate? They are in such a bad place that they showed up to your home to say something nasty to you. That is not a place for you to lean into your insecurities. That is a place for you to lean into your compassion. That is a person that is hurting and losing. There may not be a single move in society right now that is more of an indicator that a person is hurt and losing than wanting to go to somebody else's account and leave something nasty to tear them down. So whatever perspective or mindset you need to get into to take advantage of the single biggest opportunity in the history of brand building, free, you need to get your ass on it.